Fetterman is that rare Democrat who's not afraid to put the woke nonsense peddlers in his own party in their place, saying things like wanting a secure border and realizing that it was out of control. That doesn't mean you're a xenophobe or a racist.
Bill Maher just obliterated the Democrats for turning on Senator Fetterman. He torched them for eating their own the second someone steps out of line. Maher called it hypocrisy at its finest and said the party's lost its soul. Brutal, blistering, unfiltered. He didn't just call them out. He blew the lid off a hypocrisy so bold, it left the room speechless. Maher went straight for the throat, and the silence afterward said it all.
Fetterman says the four words that strike fear in the heart of every Republican who wants to hang on to power. I am not woke. That's why Trump won. Not because Americans were clamoring for tariffs on margarita mix.
Senator Fetterman just dropped a political grenade, siding with Republicans on a few explosive issues, and the left absolutely lost it. He's not jumping ship, but that didn't stop the Democratic outrage machine from spiraling into chaos. Cue the fire alarms. Enter Bill Maher, who didn't just back Fetterman. He torched the Democratic Party in a scathing monologue, accusing them of devouring their own and dragging the country off a cliff. So what did Fetterman actually do to spark this wildfire? And how did Maher deliver the knockout punch to the left's meltdown? Let's dive into the drama, because this political brawl just got nasty.
Whenever a political party finds a real star president, the other side always says, well, we have to find our Bill Clinton, our Reagan, our Obama. Well, the Democrats need to find their Trump.
So Bill Maher gears up for the savage takedown he's about to unleash. And trust me, you need to hear this clip to understand just how hard he goes. If you've been following our recent videos, you already know what I've been saying. The Democrats aren't just panicking, they're scrambling to manufacture their own version of Donald Trump. And Maher, he's done pretending not to notice.
Not the authoritarian part, but the part where a politician bonds with everyday Americans because he talks like them. And
Unfortunately for the Democrats, their so-called frontrunners, Jasmine Crockett and AOC, are just knockoff versions, trying hard to mimic Trump's fire without any of the impact. AOC's too busy pushing woke slogans to realize Rico isn't a fashion brand, and Crockett mistakes volume for power. Bottom line, no real contender in sight. But then Maher drops a bomb. His pick for the left's answer to Trump. And let's just say, no one saw this coming.
the good news for Democrats is they have that guy, and his name is John Fetterman.
Well, this one definitely caught everyone off guard. Fetterman's never been seen as a real contender for the 2028 ticket. And let's be honest, no one in the DNC lineup comes close to matching Trump's charisma, bluntness, or mass appeal. Even in his own party, Fetterman's barely tolerated. And Maher, he breaks down exactly why that is. No sugarcoating, no spin.
After the election, instead of curling up in a ball, Fetterman went to Mar-a-Lago, where Trump assumed he was one of the guys from January 6th.
And that's what lit the match under Fetterman. No scandal, no fiery speech, just one quiet dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Trump post-election. Boom, full-blown Democratic meltdown. A simple meal between two Americans was spun into political treason. Why? Because in today's circus, optics crush truth every single time.
Afterwards, Trump said he's not liberal or conservative. He's just a common sense person, which is beautiful. And that's the kind of gay adjacent respect Trump usually reserves for Putin.
Fetterman didn't flip. He didn't pledge loyalty to Trump. He had a conversation, like a normal person, but to the left, that was sacrilege. A handshake turned into a political crucifixion. You could practically hear the DNC elites gasping in horror as one of their own dared to think independently. This wasn't politics. It was pure tribal rage. And when Maher stepped in, he didn't just comment, he detonated the whole narrative. What came next wasn't just bold. It was the turning point no one saw coming.
Trump and Fetterman actually have a lot in common. They're both plain-spoken anti-elitists who come from money, married exotic immigrant ladies, went to Ivy League schools, and aren't afraid to take on their own party.
In a no-holds-barred moment, Mar throws gas on the fire, standing firm with Fetterman, and Democrats are losing it. You can almost hear the heads explode as he praises both Fetterman and Trump in the same breath. It's political whiplash at its finest, and the woke crowd is spiraling. Mar's not taking sides, he's tearing down the double standards. And in the chaos, he delivers a brutal reminder. Truth beats tribalism every time.
Look, here's the thing. Voters aren't really savvy about the issues, but they do have made it clear what is important to them. Authenticity, balls, and charisma. Trump has that package, and so does Fetterman.
The left was expecting Mar to tear into Fetterman for dining with Trump, but what they got was a plot twist no one saw coming. Instead of condemnation, Mar applauded Fetterman for doing the unthinkable, crossing the aisle, thinking for himself, and rejecting the party puppet script. To Mar, it wasn't betrayal, it was guts, and that made it sting even more for the DNC. Because just when they thought they had control of the narrative, Mar dropped the hammer, and he aimed it straight at the heart of woke politics.
Fetterman is that rare Democrat who's not afraid to put the woke nonsense peddlers in his own party in their place, saying things like, wanting a secure border and realizing that it was out of control, that doesn't mean you're a xenophobe or a racist.
In a defiant blaze of truth-telling, Mar doubles down, standing squarely behind Fetterman and sending Democrats into a tailspin. You could feel the shock ripple through the left as Mar did the unthinkable, praised both Fetterman and Trump in the same breath. Wait, what? That wasn't in the script. The takedown never came. Instead, Mar hailed Fetterman not as a traitor, but a trailblazer. Someone bold enough to break ranks while everyone else plays it safe. He didn't beg, he didn't bend. He walked right through the fire, and Mar made sure the world saw it.
He's been unequivocally pro-Israel, as are most Americans, and when pro-Palestinian protesters showed up at his home, he went up on the roof and waved an Israeli flag.
Fetterman doesn't blink. No matter who's coming for him, he stands his ground, unapologetic and unshaken. While others play the political game, chasing clout and parroting talking points, Fetterman cuts through the noise, raw, real, and untouched by the hive mind. And Mar, he didn't just defend him, he put him on a pedestal. To a party hooked on purity tests and forced loyalty, it was nothing short of treason. What Mar says next? Buckle up. It's a straight-up gut punch to the left.
Fetterman says the 4 words that strike fear in the heart of every Republican who wants to hang on to power. I am not woke. That's why Trump won, not because Americans were clamoring for tariffs on margarita mix.
Let's be real. A lot of Americans, including plenty of lifelong Democrats, voted for Trump not out of love for his tweets or policies, but out of sheer exhaustion with woke overreach. They saw him as the last wall standing against a tidal wave of cancel culture, identity politics, and pronoun policing. Trump was a defiant no to the madness, and now, surprisingly, John Fetterman is striking a similar chord. He's not afraid to call out the extremes on the left, even if it means stepping on toes in his own party. Fetterman's that rare Democrat who says out loud what others only dare to whisper. The woke agenda is sinking the ship. While others tiptoe and cave to the online mob, Fetterman doesn't flinch. He speaks plainly, stands tall, and takes the hits. He's not pandering to Twitter. He's fighting for the people, and in today's spineless political landscape, that kind of guts is nearly extinct.
But you see, again, like Trump, Fetterman understands the value of having a distinctive look, a brand.
Fetterman's look isn't just different, it's becoming his brand. In a world where voters crave real, over-rehearsed, his gritty working-class vibe, hoodies, tattoos, and all, feels like a breath of fresh air. While most Democrats still cling to polished optics and beltway polish, Fetterman shows up as he is. And that's exactly why he's starting to click with middle America. He doesn't look like a career politician. He looks like the guy at your local bar, the neighbor who gets it, the one who's lived what you've lived. In 2028, that raw authenticity could be the Democrats' secret weapon.
Trump, with his yellow top and 4-foot rayon red tie, mimics the colors that every fast food franchise.
Mar hit the nail on the head. Trump, for all his chaos, built a brand that blew Kamala Harris out of the water. the hair, the tie, the bombastic swagger. He was a walking spectacle, a meme machine that people couldn't ignore. And guess what? It worked. It made him feel oddly real, raw, human to millions of voters. Now enter Kamala, buttoned up, rehearsed, robotic. She's so overpolished, she vanishes in a crowd. No signature look, no defining moment, no emotional hook. What comes to mind when you hear her name? A quote? A catchphrase? A style? Exactly nothing. And in politics, no brand means no connection. And just when you think it can't get more off script, cue Pete Buttigieg, the DNC's favorite bottom of the ticket. But here's the curveball. What if Trump doesn't run? 2 terms, that's the limit. While everyone's bracing for another Trump face-off, what if the GOP quietly swaps him out for someone cleaner, calmer, maybe even boring, but totally electable? Suddenly, the entire Democratic strategy collapses because you can't run against a ghost. And right now, that might be exactly what's coming. Trying to craft a blue Trump only works if the real Trump actually shows up. If he doesn't, Democrats aren't running a counteroffensive, they're shadowboxing a ghost. And let's be honest, if the GOP hands the baton to a more refined candidate, someone with Trump's base appeal but none of the chaos, the left's mimic strategy won't just fall flat, it'll look embarrassing. Like showing up to a duel with a cardboard sword? Sure, Fetterman can fill the vibe gap. He's rough around the edges, brash, unfiltered. But what's the point of a counterpunch if no one's throwing the first punch? If the GOP pivots and runs a DeSantis type or some new face with the discipline Trump never had, then Fetterman's authenticity becomes noise without a narrative. This isn't just a messaging failure, it's a full-blown identity crisis waiting to blow up in the Democrats' face. And Mar sees it. Crystal clear. He's not trying to blow up the Democratic Party because he hates it. He's sounding the alarm. He's saying, get out of your bubble before it pops. But the question remains, is anyone on the left listening? Even Fetterman, intentionally or not, seems to be sending signals that he's done tiptoeing around the identity-obsessed wing of the party. Just a month ago, he stopped listing his pronouns on social media. That may seem small to some, but in today's political climate, it's a statement, a loud one. And for a growing number of Americans, there's a sense of quiet satisfaction when they see a Democrat drop the act and return to something resembling common sense. It's not just a moment of personal clarity, it's a crack in the carefully manicured image the left tries so hard to preserve. Then came Pete Buttigieg, the golden boy of woke politics, a bureaucratic darling. And yet, even he couldn't keep up the charade. When he quietly deleted the pronouns from his bio, it wasn't just a design choice, it was a signal flare, a soft surrender. Because even he knows, the American public is tuning out the identity politics circus. The applause is dying, the audience is leaving. And the quiet part? Buttigieg finally said it out loud. In one interview, he admitted the obvious. There's no realistic path to national victory if the Democrats stay tethered to the most extreme cultural fringes of their party. He didn't say the ideology was wrong, he said it was toxic politics. Translation: you can't win the White House if you're only playing to TikTok activists and Twitter mobs. And that brings us back to Fetterman, because here's his real problem. He doesn't check the boxes. He's not a woman. He's not a person of color. He doesn't speak in DEI-approved sound bites. So despite his working-class credibility and actual voter connection, he's already at a disadvantage within his own party. Mar nails it with brutal sarcasm. Are you sure you don't have some Latino blood in you, John? What about Juan Fetterman? It's biting. It's uncomfortable. And it's true. Because in today's Democratic Party, identity isn't just part of the strategy. It is the strategy. The party of JFK, the one that stood for free speech, labor rights, rational discourse, and working-class grit, has been hijacked by performance politics, social media stunts, and purity tests. It's no longer enough to fight for the people. You have to look the part, speak the code, and signal the values, regardless of whether they connect with real voters or not. Mar isn't lobbing bombs from the outside. He's waving a flare from inside the wreckage. He's pleading with his own side. Wake up before it's too late. Because if they don't, If Democrats keep prioritizing pronouns over paychecks, feelings over facts, and outrage over outreach, they won't just lose 2028. They'll lose their soul. And the worst part? They won't even realize it's gone until they're sitting in the rubble, wondering how it all fell apart. Mar's holding up a mirror. But the Democrats, they see a threat, not a reflection. And if they keep plugging their ears and calling criticism hate speech, they won't hear the crash until it's already over. That's the message. And that's the moment we're in. If you found this eye-opening, hit the like button, subscribe, and stick around, because the cultural unraveling isn't slowing down, and we'll be here to break it all down, every step of the way. See you in the next episode.